Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about Spring Batch. So we will discuss what is Spring Batch, where you can use Spring Batch, is Spring Batch good for fit for your project, and a different use case of Spring Batch along with the fundamental domain specific language. So let's get started. So before we know about Spring Batch, we should have knowledge of batch processing, that what is batch processing. So batch processing, I can say that batch processing is something which can need zero human interaction, can run on background, and can help us to process large amount of data. That is what batch processing is. So to it all, we can say that batch processing is used for long running tasks or heavy tasks, can be run in the background. That is what a batch processing is. Now let's talk about Spring Batch. Spring Batch is basically the first Java based framework introduced for batch processing. It removed the complexity. So if I talk about batch processing, there are many complex things. So whenever we are dealing with a large amount of data, sometimes our process, our task stop working out, sometimes it needs to restart, sometimes it doesn't. So there are different use cases based on the need of the project. So it remove that complexity and help developer to create a very simple and friendly project which is robust. Next point, I can say that it is very lightweight batch processing framework for bulk processing. The third one is frequently where we have something use case like where we need to run long running processes and all, then we can go for Spring Batch. Another would be the most important part of Spring Batch framework is it is totally POJO based development approach. And when I say POJO based development approach, what I mean is like we have POJO classes, plain Java objects, or any type of object. It could be object classes as well. Okay, we have to define those classes in that framework on which we are going to deal with in our batch process. We will give an example of that of POJO classes in the later section of the video. After that, what is the best feature of Spring Batch is it gives us all the statistical data of our jobs. Okay, so let's say we are dealing with a large amount of data and there are multiple iteration of our process. Okay, then it gives all the metadata of that process in some database which we can configure according to our needs. Okay, the next best feature of it is skip resource management or filter them. Okay, so sometime let's just take an example. Let's say we want to migrate one database to another, and in that what we want is we want to skip some resources or skip some items based on some precondition or whatever there is. So Spring Batch gives us that feature as well, that we can filter them according to our need, and we can save other resources as per need. So this is what Spring Batch is. Okay, so now let's move forward to its domain specific language. Here we're going to talk about what are the words we say on a daily basis whenever we are dealing with Spring Batch framework, like a job or task or step or scheduler. So these are some terms we use on daily basis whenever we are dealing with Spring Batch. So this is called domain specific language. So first let's start with a scheduler. So what is a scheduler? Scheduler is something which schedules or triggers something. Let's say let's say whenever we let's say every 8 a.m. in the morning we should get a mail. We should send a custom mail to our customers. Okay, or it could be take backup of a database every 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay, or any timely manner we want to schedule some task. Okay, so that help us to schedule something. Okay, if we talk about Spring Batch, we can have different types of scheduler. Just for example, we can use go with Spring Scheduler itself. So there we don't have to do anything separately. We can just use @scheduler annotation, and then we can define our manner like cron or field cron or time interval, whatever we want to define. Okay, another way could be a Quartz APIs. We can schedule our Spring Batch with Quartz API as well. So that is another way. Okay, So next term would be job. Okay, so whenever we say a job, what do we mean in Spring Batch? So it's basically our batch process, what we want to execute. Okay, so just take an example. Let's say we want to migrate one database, or we can say migrate database or send emails to the customer. Okay, so that is our process, that is our task basically, like this. Okay, so that whole complete thing would be called a job, the main batch process what we want to achieve. Okay, that is our job. Okay, so in technical term I would say that a job in Spring Batch application is the batch process that is going to be executed. Okay, that is what a job is. Okay, it start and finish without any interruption. Okay, there are some qualities, or I would say attributes of job, like its restartability. Okay, so let's say we want to restart our job if in case it got something. Okay, so there are some feature which we can configure according to our need. So let's say the batch process is running, and meanwhile it got interrupted due to any reason. It could be a hardware reason, or it could be infrastructure. So let's say it got interrupted. Okay, so there is a feature of Spring Batch which is called restartable. So if we can make it enable, so that what it will do, it will run another execution of that job. Okay, now coming to the next point, which is job launcher. So job launcher is basically the one who launches the job. Okay, technically it is just an interface which is called the job, which we have defined. Okay, now job repository. Okay, another interface which allow us to persist job execution metadata into the database, or we can deal with in our code as well. Let's say we want to fetch that metadata information from the DB. So that's why we have job repository. Okay, next term is job execution context. Job execution context is basically an overall batch process. Let's say we want to save something, save some information. Let's say how many records were not eligible, or it could be some metadata information. Okay, let's say we want to save anything in the context. So what we can do, we can save it in the job context, job execution context, and then later on we can use it in until the life cycle of the whole life cycle of the job. So that is what job execution context is. How job execution context work is basically it saves the information into the database, and then later on whenever we want to use that, it can bring us that information back to us. That is job execution context for you. Next term is job instance. Okay, so let's say we have some batch process. It could be anything. We have it scheduled for 10 p.m. every day, like in the night. Okay, so what it gonna do? It gonna job instance gonna launch a new job. Sorry, job launcher gonna launch a new job at 10 p.m. exactly. So that would be called a job instance, a logical run of our job. That is what a job instance is. Okay, there is another term which is not written here, that is basically job execution. Okay, so what is the difference between job instance and job execution? Let's say that job runs at 10 p.m. Okay, let's say that job is running at 10 p.m. Okay, so that is our job instance, and let me reason. Okay, then it would be restarted if our restartable property is true. Okay, so that is another execution of that job. So that is what a job execution is, and that is what a job instance is. Now job parameter. Okay, job parameter is basically what we want to inject into our job. Let's say just for logging information, what we want a unique ID throughout the job. Okay, or it could be the name of the job. Okay, so that would can be included by job parameter. The next term is step. Okay, so step is basically a part of a job, or you can say a job can be divided into multiple tasks, multiple steps basically. Just for example, let's say we have a goal, a batch process, and we want to divide it into is per domain. Let's say taking the backup, sending alert, and like that. It could be anything. So a job can be further divided into step. Okay, So step is nothing different, but it is just a part of job, or you can say a phase of job. Okay, a job is basically a sequence of steps. Okay, now coming to the same step execution context. So what we have for job execution context, it is similar, but it is for step. It will be available to the life cycle of a step. Next thing is item. Okay, so earlier we said that this framework is about a POJO based approach, right? So this is what that item is, of what our POJO, what we are dealing with, that is our item, a record basically, what we are dealing with. Okay, now a step can be further divided into item reader, item processor and item writer. These three, item reader, processor and writer. Okay, now these three are basically part of a step where we read the data, where we process it, we can filter it as per our need, or we can map it into another entity, whatever our requirement is, and then we can write it. It may be another database, a queue or a file. Okay, and the next and last point is listeners. Okay, so listener are basically the end point of some job. Let's say we talk about job listener. Okay, so a listener that would be executed after the job. If we talk about step listener, then that would be executed after the step, whenever that step is finishes. So this is basically the domain specific language of a batch job. So let's move forward. Okay, now we will talk about cron expressions. Okay, now what is the need of cron expression in batch jobs? First talk about that. So here in the domain specific language we talked scheduler, right? So in order to schedule something, we need a cron, or a time interval on the basis the job will be scheduled. Okay, so the cron expression is a way where we give our input to scheduler and ask to schedule in that timely manner. Okay, so we're going to discuss about this. So let's just take an example of this. You can see, before we go ahead, let's first discuss this thing that in Spring Scheduler the cron will be of 6 digits. Okay, so let's see, we can see this first cron here, 0 star 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 Monday to Friday. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5, and this would be considered a single one, so 6. Okay, there are total 6 digits in a cron. Okay, now every digit indicates a time unit. The first one basically indicates seconds, second one indicates minute, third one indicates hours, fourth one indicates day of the month, like 1st of August, 2nd of August, 3rd of August, like that. Okay, and the fifth one indicates the month, like which month we want to schedule it, and the last one indicates the day of the week, on what week we can use, on what day of the week we want to run it. Okay, so that is what this cron means. So here we can use our regex expression as well. So just for example, if I talk about the first step, which is seconds. Okay, so what digits can be applied there? So here we can use any digit between 0 and 59. Okay, so that would be the seconds. Okay, apart from that, we can also indicate it with star. Star means every. Okay, and apart from that, in the cron expression we can use another term, which is basically a question mark. Okay, question mark can be only used for day of the month or for day of the week. So for all others we can only use asterisk or 0 to 59 for minutes, and 0 to 24 hours, and 0 to 11 for months. Okay, so this is a cron expression. Okay, now let's say how we can read it. Okay, so this means Monday to Friday. Okay, so this means it will be only run on Monday to Friday, like weekdays. Now the month is star, means every month. Okay, this is also like day of month is star, so every day basically. Okay, this is third one is also hours, star, so it every hour, and second one is also star, that means minute. So this means 0th second of every minute of every hour or every day of the month of every month, and weekdays will be only Monday to Friday. Okay, so we can say that once per minute on weekdays. Okay, so that is what this cron expression means. Let's take another example. Let's say we take this one. Okay, So here we question marks means we don't care. Okay, so here we don't care what day of week it is. Okay, all we care that it should be any month, any day of the month, and 1 a.m. time is 1. Okay, and 0th minute and 0th second. So it would be run 1 a.m. every day. Okay, if you talk about this one, let's say this one, so it would be 0th second of first minute. So first minute of every hour. And instead of first minute, if you want to run every minute, then we would keep a 0 and slash before that. So it would be every minute. Okay, let's see at the last one as well. So here we have 0th second, 12th minute, 11 a.m. and 11th month, which would be November. Okay, and 11th, this is 11 date, sorry, 11 day of the month, and this is month. So 0 second, 12 minutes, 11th hour, 11th day of the month, 11 month. So it would be every November, 11 a.m. at 11 past 12 a.m. 12 past 11. Okay, so this is what a cron expression is. I hope I am clear. Okay, so now let's see the flow of a job. If I tried to show you some diagrams, so it would be easier to visualize the whole process. So in the beginning, we have a scheduler which schedules a job. Okay, so basically, its scheduler calls the job launcher to run a job. Then the job launcher creates an entry in the database. Okay, and with via the job repository, and it creates a job just like this. So far we have one scheduler which called a job launcher, which made an entry in the database and creates a job. Then what going to happen? The job is going to create the step. Okay, so it is going to call the steps. Inside that step, we're going to have 3 parts of that step, which would be reader, processor, and writer. Okay, so first and third are mandatory, second one is processor. We could have item processor, or if we don't want, it is optional basically. Okay, but first and third are mandatory, so we must have those two. Okay, and then the reader and writer can communicate to any queue or any database or any file. So basically, a reader can read data from any API, queue, or database or file. So an item reader can store it into the same or any other API, queue, database or file. So this is the whole process of a batch job. Okay. Similarly to this step, we can have other step in the job as well, just like this, and it could have a different. It could have a different item reader, processor, and writer. So this is the flow. Now, if we see the whole picture of Spring Batch like an overview on the top, so we can see that we are having a job launcher which is talking to the job repository, we are having a job which can also talk to the job repo, and we are having a step which can also talk to the job repo. Now, the relation between job and step is one to many. The relation between steps and reader, processor, writer is 1 to 1. So that means each step can only have one item reader, one item processor, or one item writer. But a job can have multiple steps. Now see job overview. Okay, so job overview is basically, let's say we scheduled a job at the end of the day. Okay, so that is our job. Okay, let's talk about a particular instance of the job where it's going to run. So let's say on 5th month 2007. So that is what a job instance when it going to run. Okay, and we can inject any parameters what we want. Let's say we are injecting a date here in the job parameter. Okay, now this is job instance is the instance when it runs. Okay, when it scheduled basically. Okay, and the job execution is the running execution of that job. Okay, now what is the difference between these two? So in case this job execution failed due to any attempt, okay, then there would be another job execution, right? So we are talking about the same job end of the day of this date, but as the first attempt got failed, so there could be another job execution of the same job instance. Now here we have a picture of step overview. Okay, what we have inside a job. So steps are basically a part or a phase of a job. So here we are going to have a look of that section. Okay, so we can see that as soon as the job calls the step execution, okay, so what going to happen, it's going to call the read method of our item reader, then it will take that item, then it's going to pass that item to the processor, okay, and then it can take back that item, okay, and then again the reader is called. So basically this part is repetitive, okay. So why I like this, because it gives you the support of multi-threading, okay. You can process the data in chunks as well, and you can use the multi-threading as well. So let's say we want to process 10 data, like process 10 records like this, like we read and process, read and process, read and process, and then in the end we can deal with that chunk for the writer part. So all that chunk would be sent to the writer section, and similarly then it will read again and then process and then write, and like that it will be a cycle. Okay, so this is a step overview. The next thing which I am going to show you is the database schema. Okay, now it would seems like multiple field, which I think if I am going to explain, it will be very difficult for you to understand. So let's talk about at high level that what tables the batch job provides for you. Okay, so in the beginning we discussed that batch job's best feature is it provides statistical data for us, like the metadata of a batch process to us. Okay, you don't have to do anything separately for that. All you have to do is configure a database and boom, that's it. Okay, so it is schema where we have metadata of all. It includes all the job executions. Okay, it includes all the parameters what you included to the particular job. It includes our job instance and the context of that, and all step context and the step execution context. Okay, so this is the schema of our database schema, batch process. Okay, it includes like all the information. Let's say we earlier we talked about that the batch job provides us the information regarding the skipped records or management of those filtered records. So you can see here that here we have some count that how many records have been read, how many records have been filtered out, and how many records has been sent to writer. Okay, we have all the counts for all the steps. Okay, so this is the the best part of our batch job. Okay, so I think enough of talking. Let's see some code and then we will discuss about its use cases. Okay. So here I am going to show you one example of our batch job in Eclipse. So let me minimize everything and then I will go ahead. Yes, so we have different packages in batch job. I am going to explain one by one, like what we have, what type of classes we have for in each one. Okay, so first we have our application class, which start the Spring Boot application is this, where we are doing starting our application, batch job application. Okay, then in the configuration we are configuring our job. Okay, so how it going to communicate with the database, so that's why we have our persistent config, and then we're going to define a batch config apart from that, which tells us that what will be the DB, like as it in our case it is Postgres. Okay, so we have to mention that what DB we are going to use. Okay, so in the configure section we are defining that that database related part. So in the entity section we are defining two entities, person and users. Okay, so let's say what the purpose of this batch process is to transform the person entity to the user entity. Okay, in daily in our development life we face this many times, that we need to export the third party database into our organization or something similar to that. So I took this example where we are getting the data of person and we want to convert that and write it to somewhere as the user. Okay, so here we have two entities. In person we have two fields, first name and last name, and in user we have two fields, ln and fn, which indicates first name and last name. Okay, now how the flow is going to happen, that should be defined under the job section. Okay, so here we have our person batch job. Here we define the whole flow, that how it's going to run and all. Okay, like how the steps are going to be called, reader would be the first one, then processor, that all thing would be defined here in this section. So as you can see that here we are defining a job. Okay, here we are saying that hey job builder factory, this is my job name. Okay, the ID would be an indicator like 1 2 3 in increment manner, like 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, and after that I have one listener which should be executed after the end of the job. Okay, and the flow would be to first call this step. Okay, let's say we want to execute another step, then we would include that into our flow. Okay, now in the flow we are saying that this step should be called. Okay, so here we are calling this job step, and here we are defining our reader, processor and writer, that first we need to execute this, which is our reader, then we have to execute this, which is our person item processor, and then we are executing our person item writer. Okay, so here we are defining the flow which help us to process in the same order like we wanted. Okay, the POJO based development approach we earlier talked about is basically here you can see, here we are defining that what would be the input and output of that. So input of our whole step would be person, and output of our whole step would be this user. Okay, so that is okay. So here we have defined our job. Okay, coming to the next part of our job, which is going to hit it, is basically the scheduler. Okay, so here we have our scheduler where we defined our cron. I'm going to show you my config file. Okay, here you can see that this is our configuration file. Here we have set the database URL and username, password, and all the database related section. And here I have said that my cron would be 0 star 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 star. That means every minute. Okay, so if we are going to run this job, it is going to run it every minute. Okay, now what will happen like every minute? So what is going to happen is we are launching a job. You can see we are calling launcher.run job and passing it a parameter of our job name. So let's say we run the job. Okay, so what's going to happen next? Here we are creating a new UUID for instance ID of our job, and then we are passing that instance ID into the job pair. So it could be saved, and we can easily identify between different jobs. Okay, then this is going to the job locator going to get a job based on that name. Okay, which we just configured where in the job class of process. We indicated that here we have a job step, and this is the process and all, right? So it's going to see, do we have anything like that with any name? Okay, so if it finds, then it's going to give you that job, otherwise it's going to throw some exception of no job found. Okay, then it's going to run that job launcher. Okay, now what's going to happen when it run the job? It's going to call the step. Okay, and in the step we define what will be the flow. First call reader, then processor, and then writer. So here we're going to see the reader section, reader class. Reader class. Okay, here is our processor class, and in the end here we have a writer. Okay, so let me explain the code here, what we have in all of them. So first let's talk about a person reader. Okay, so here what we are doing basically, we have one annotation called before step. Okay, now before step is basically execute only one time before the whole step, like before the item reader and processor and writer going to execute, it will be only initialized once. Okay, now here what we can do, we can read data from our source. Let's say it could be one DB, one queue, or any REST API or any file. Okay, from wherever we want to read our data, we would read it here before the initialization of the step. Okay, so what we are having a queue here, this attempt queue basically of persons. Okay, so we have 4 persons here: Walter White, Harvey Specter, Chandler, and Jonas. Okay, so these are the 4 persons we have added to the queue. Okay, now after the before step, the step is going to call the read method of our reader. So what we are doing here is basically just removing one person at a time. What we are doing here is basically just removing one person at a time from the queue. Okay, so first would be Walter White, then Harvey, then Chandler and Jonas, and then in that order it going to remove one person by one, and then it going to pass it back to the step. Okay, and then processor, the step gonna call the processor. Okay, so in the processor it gonna receive that person, let's say Walter White. Okay, now what the processor is doing, it is the class where you can filter your data, or you can map it, or you can transform the data, anything you want to do with your data. Okay, you can do. So in our case we are just transforming into another entity, which is user. Okay, so we are transformed into user, and then we are returning it to writer. Okay, so again then it would call the step, and then step is going to call the writer. Okay, so here we have our step, you can see. So here we are not receiving record one by one, here we are receiving a list of records. Okay, so it depends on the chunk size. Okay, so in step batch we also use chunk oriented programming, where we can define that how many record we want to pass together to the writer after the processor has processed them. Okay, so here we get those list of records, and then we process them or write them into some another DB or file, or call another service via REST API. Whatever we want to do with our data, we can do it here. Okay, so this is the code. Okay, now let's run it and see how it behaves. Okay, let's say I call run application. It is taking too much time, pardon me for that. Okay, it is launching the batch job application. It is taking too much time. So meanwhile we can discuss about the use cases of the job, as it is taking too much time, so let's don't waste time. Okay. Okay, so here are the use cases of our batch job. Okay, the first one is basically, let's say we want to compute some data or process some data and save it somewhere on the timely manner. It could be daily, weekly, monthly or yearly update. We can do that with our batch job. You can include the billing system, like we receive a bill of our telephone or our internet bills. Okay, it could be anything, something like we want to export data from one system, filter that out and import to another system. Okay, the next one will be let's say we want to send some notification, okay, to, let's say, just for example, we receive the sale alert by Amazon, okay, on their annual sale, or by Flipkart. Okay, so that could be also done by our batch job. The next one could be we want to produce some reports based on various data, then that we can also achieve via batch job. It could also include CSV processing in batch, okay, or wherever we have large amount of data and we need zero human interaction. Okay, all we need is something automated thing. So that's where batch job comes into the picture. Okay, it is very useful for a periodic task over. Okay, so that is all its use case, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Here the need that whenever we need bulk processing, batch processing or partial processing, batch job is your man. And its benefit is it's highly scalable, easy for newcomers as well, I would say. And there is some feature, automatic retry after failure, which we already discussed. In case a job fails, it helps us to do restart that. So I guess it's about to start. Okay, let's wait for the next execution. It is 38, so as soon as it would be 39th minute, okay, the scheduler would be called. Okay, so our application has been started and it is waiting for the next scheduling time. Hope you got the process, like how we can create producer, reader and writer, and you also understood how the flow is defined. Yeah, so here we have our scheduler, which is being called at the time of the 0th second of the next minute. Okay, then from here we're gonna call the job launcher, which is going to launch a new job, that going to inject some parameter into that, like instance ID, and then it's gonna find a job which we have created and then launch that. So let's see. Yes, so here we are, the job has been initialized, and before the starting of the step, this has been called, where we are going to create our data. So now here we are at the processor, and from processor it will pass that record to the writer. So in this manner the flow will go, like first reader, processor and then writer. All the data has been successfully converted. Walter White, Harvey Specter, Chandler and Jonas. Okay, and in the end we also have one listener here, which I forgot to show you. Yeah, here. So that would be in the end. We also have one listener here, which I forgot to show you. Yeah, here. So that would be called after the job. Okay, that has job execution list. Okay, that's when it would be called. So that's pretty much it about our batch job. Okay, there are still few concepts which are yet to be covered, like chunk oriented programming or multi-threading, but just for a fundamental video I don't think that was a good idea. So I will see if we can have one advanced concepts of Spring Batch and try to cover that. So you can see as soon as the next scheduled time has come, it has executed another job. That's it from my side. If you have any question, you can ask me in the chat box. Yeah, it does. I guess it's very slow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. If you still have any question, you can write down into the comment. I will try to answer.